Well, I think my favorite class was one that Dr. Bashford had on machinery. And I knew about machinery because I used it, but I didn't know how to design it. And so he helped me learn how to design it.
I think it would be Vadose Zone Hydrology. I really enjoyed Dean Eisenhower. He was my advisor here, a major professor, but also really enjoyed that class, probably because it was just something quite new to me, and so felt like I got a lot out of it.
So my favorite class was probably any class that was hands-on. If it was the hydraulics lab, if it was soils lab. I was just talking to one of the professors around soldering and putting an amplifier together so that we could collect data. For me, it was anything that I could do hands-on was my favorite class at that moment.
I was thinking about it. I think my favorite class was the intro to CAD. I found a lot of interest in like the design of different things like that. I thought that was where my career was going to go, was in like the development of things like that. But I think intro to CAD was fun for me. So I would say that that was probably one of my favorite classes.
Well, I think first of all, I enjoyed all the ag engineering classes because of the class size and the interaction you had with professors. But I think the one I probably enjoyed the most were those that related to the ag equipment systems. And there was Ken Bunbarg and a couple of others taught those classes. And I think that was one of those ones I could relate to very well because of my background as a farm kid.
My favorite course was the capstone course. I really loved the people that I worked with in the groups in that course, as well as how I just learned to look at problems in a new way.
One of my favorite classes was my class with Professor Dean Eisenhower. I think it was Mechanized Systems Management 354, Hydraulics. Professor Eisenhower just did a fantastic job of relating what was in the textbook and what he was trying to teach us and relating it to us and teaching us all about hydraulics. He made the class fun, he made it interesting, and that's the one that I probably learned the most from.
Study spot? Well, I work part-time at the tractor test lab. So after we'd be done at the end of the day, I'd stay there and study, and it was nice and quiet and just a good place to be.
Well, I was a graduate student here, not an undergraduate, and so my favorite study spot probably was still my office because it was pretty quiet. I think that was still probably my favorite study spot here at Nebraska.
My favorite study spot, that's a good question. I had to think so far back. So actually, I was an associate residence director at Able. So I was lucky enough to have my own room. So I did a lot of studying in my own room, which was right across from Nebraska Hall. So I was able to also just go across the street where they had lots of study areas. And towards the end of my tenure here at the university, it was right here in Chase. There was tables there in the main lobby, and we spent a lot of time just hanging out here.
My favorite study spot would have been the library. I went to the library quite a bit. I was an athlete in college to start, and it was almost required that we would go there every morning. But it kind of created a space where I knew, hey, if I'm in the library, I'm doing my work. I couldn't study in my dorm, I couldn't study at home. So if I went to the library, I knew I was gonna get some work done. So that was kind of my spot. Otherwise, I had an overnight job going through college where I worked overnights at the Juvenile Detention Center. And I got a lot of homework and studying done throughout the night. So those would be my two. I got two of them. They're pretty equally my favorite. Because I got paid to study when I was working overnights.
I don't know I had a favorite study spot. I think my favorite was if I could actually team up with somebody else taking the same class. That was more important than exactly where the study took place.
My favorite study spot, which doesn't exist anymore, is there used to be a pit right in front of the old bookstore at the Union, but now I think it's the dining hall.
Favorite study spot for me was in my room. I mean, that's where it was quiet, that's where I could play a little music in the background, and I could really focus on studying. I never got into the library or other spots like that. I just needed the quiet of my room.
3 words, huh? Well, I think probably one of the things is new friends. I mean, you come to college and you go through lots of math and chemistry and physics. huge class, you come here and you end up knowing everybody that's in your class and you become friends, you help each other study, things like that. And then the other one, of course, working at Tractor Test Lab part-time as a student gave me a lot of education and information that I really needed to know later on in life. And other than that, it's just being with friends.
Welcoming, learning environment, fun.
So 3 words to describe my experience here at the BSE Department. I think there was hard to put it into 3 words. I would say I felt a sense of belonging here at this department. I felt a sense of community, and I felt that, I felt like I was getting what I needed to be successful once I left and moved into industry. I felt prepared.
I would say diversity. A lot of my classes were very diverse, which I liked. I'm Native American. Not a lot of Native Americans here within the East Campus, all the different schools over here. But I like the diversity that mixed systems brought. I would say support. My advisor, Deepak, was extremely supportive and really helped pave the way for my success when it came to my academics. And then I would say challenge. It's a very challenging area to study because it requires a ton of time and effort to be good at it. So the 3 words to describe it would be support, diversity, and challenge.
The 3 words would be connecting, people being able to work with each other, enabling.
3 words: involved, eye-opening, community.
3 words to describe my experience in the BSE department would be learning networking, people skills, learning the hard skills that I needed in parts of my job. And the last one was just fun. I really enjoyed my time going through the program here in Chase Hall.
Well, I'm not sure, because when I left here to go to John Deere, I had no clue what my first job was going to be until I got there. And it was one that I thought in the first 30 minutes of work, I didn't know if I wanted to be there or not. But as it turned out, it gave me a lot of new information that you don't learn in college. And you also get all the education from the people that you work with. And you learn a lot when you go to work, because you're working with experts in other areas, and you just learn a lot.
Take advantage of all the opportunities that might be out there, whether that be for various internships, international travel, learning about something new. I did not take advantage of those when I was an undergraduate student, but I think especially as an undergraduate, I think that would be essential. As a graduate student, one thing I would say is take advantage of opportunities for proposal writing. That'd probably be the biggest one, especially if you want to go into the academic setting.
So some advice for students today, I would say 2 things. 1, to stay curious. Ask the questions. Understand how things work and how things interact. The other one I would say is find your passion. I think it's important that as you decide what you do after your tenure here at the university, in graduation, if it's going in for graduate studies or research or in the industry, just follow your passion and where it leads, because you'll always be happy if you're doing something you're passionate about.
The advice I would give would be to go outside your comfort zone. Don't study something that the only reason you're doing it is because you're comfortable with it and you know you can succeed, because that's going to be a habit you'll build throughout the rest of your life. So I've been able to advance in my career and in my academics because I always did something that was a challenge to me. So my advice would be to take on a challenge. Don't do something that you really don't like, but do something that challenges you a little bit. And even if that's not your pathway, it's going to help you grow and develop for your career, whatever that might look like.
Well, I think the advice I would give is you're always going to be looking for your opportunities that meet what basically is important to you. And when you find those opportunities, that's when you will excel and you will enjoy what you're doing, and you'll be able to put your best foot forward.
The number one thing I could give advice to anyone is never lose a passion for learning. You're gonna need to learn your entire lives.
My advice to current BSE students is to really get involved, really focus on those soft skills, people skills, networking skills, because I say this all the time, you can have the fanciest vehicles, equipment, buildings, but nothing makes the world go around more than people do. And so learning how to be on teams, work on teams, and develop those relationships is probably the most important thing that you can do.
We worked on lots of different models of tractors, and sometimes you have new things, other things like all the fuel emissions programs that have come in lately. We had to deal with that, design around it, and yeah, you'd say, well, this is not fun to do, but we had to do it anyway because government rules, so we had to do it.
I'm passionate about our land and water resources. So I work at Iowa State University. And a little different than Nebraska, we're not as water limited. So we do a lot with managing surplus water, but then also a lot of concerns about the quality of that water. And so I'm passionate about how we manage our water to minimize the downstream impacts of that, whether that be from flooding or from the nutrients that are in that water.
I'm really passionate about the future of our food systems. So I work in sustainability, and some of the major challenges that we're working on right now is how do we feed a growing population with fewer resources, lowering carbon emissions to decrease global warming, and what will that do to our food system? So everything from regenerative agriculture to how we produce and consume our food are the different challenges that I get to work on every day, and trying to bring new solutions to the market that not only support the planet, but also our health and of course taste great.
I would say my work around food security and food sovereignty for my tribe in Northeast Nebraska. When I first started my career there at Ho-Chunk Farms, I really seen the need for local food systems to help support the local diets of our tribal members. We're in Northeast Nebraska. Our closest grocery store is 30 minutes away, and not a lot of people, we struggle with poverty in our community. So not a lot of people can make that drive, or they can afford to go to get the fresh produce and different things like that. So my last 8 years, I've been fighting for that. I've done a lot of work in that space that has allowed us to make me feel a little better about the food security that we have in our community, but there's a lot more work to be done in that space. But really a food system that supports Native American diets, not just your typical diets that a lot of our either government food systems are developed around. We have a unique diet that is traced to our genetics, and I think bringing that to our community and making it available is important. And I think we've lost sight of that as a tribe when it comes to the development of our own food. And that's really the huge effort. That's what's driven my successes, but my passion and my fulfillment that I get from my profession comes from being able to do that for a greater good, which is my people, the Winnebago people.
I had to stand up a new program for the first time in USDA for helping farmers with disabilities, and I had to implement that program, and I think that's the one I liked the best because it was all about enabling people.
Right now, the number one problem that I am looking at to solve is modernization of the federal government.
I'm really passionate about finding the right people to put them on the right seat of the bus. And then once we get them on our team, developing them so that they can provide even more value to our company. But I'm all about the people. I'm about finding quality individuals that want to work hard, want to be a part of our team, and want to pursue agriculture and pursue feeding the world with us.